In 1889, in the bustling industrial city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, photographer Marcus Whitmore captured what would become one of the most disturbing photographs in American criminal history. What they discovered in that single frame would leave investigators in a state of shock for decades to come and challenge everything we thought we knew about the origins of organized crime in America. This photograph was taken on November 15th, 1889, outside the Allegheny Steel works during what appeared to be a routine family gathering, according to records discovered only in 1994 in the basement archives of the Carnegie Library. This seemingly innocent portrait would reveal America's first documented organized crime family, and something far more terrifying that defied all expectations. The photograph shows 12 people arranged in 3 rows, 8 adults and 4 children, all dressed in their finest Sunday clothing. At first glance, nothing appears unusual. The adults stand with the rigid formality typical of 19th century portraiture, while the children sit cross-legged in front, their faces bearing the serious expressions common to photography of that era. But what you're seeing in this image contains details that would leave even seasoned criminologists questioning the very limits of human depravity. According to Marcus Whitmore's journal, preserved in the Pittsburgh Historical Society archives, the family approached him in late October 1889, requesting a formal portrait for what they claimed was a reunion. The patriarch, identified in police records as Giovanni John Torrino, age 52, had immigrated from Calabria, Italy, in 1871 with his wife Maria and their eldest son Antonio. What appeared to be a success story of American immigration would soon reveal itself as something far more sinister. Whitmore documented the session in meticulous detail. The Torrino family arrived precisely at 2:00 p.m., as scheduled. The father, John, spoke with a heavy Italian accent but was well dressed and courteous. He paid in advance, $20 in gold coins, which struck me as unusual for a steelworker. When I commented on his generosity, he simply smiled and said, "Family is everything, Mr. Whitmore. This picture will be very important someday." Even more disturbing was Whitmore's observation about the family's behavior during the session. According to his notes, while most families require instruction on positioning and posture, the Torrinos arranged themselves with unusual precision, as if they had rehearsed the formation. The children showed no restlessness typical of their age, remaining motionless for the extended exposure time without a single complaint. Most unsettling was their complete silence throughout the session, 11 people who communicated through glances alone. But there was something more disturbing about that November afternoon that Whitmore couldn't have known at the time. According to witness testimonies compiled by Detective Inspector Charles Morrison of the Pittsburgh Police Department, the Torrino family had just completed what federal investigators would later classify as America's first coordinated multi-state criminal operation, a series of synchronized attacks on industrial infrastructure that demonstrated planning capabilities unprecedented in American criminal history. The investigation began 3 months later, in February 1890, when bodies began surfacing along the Monongahela River. The first victim, identified as Thomas McKenna, a dock worker and known police informant, was found with his throat cut and his tongue removed. Within 6 weeks, 4 more bodies appeared, all bearing similar markings and all connected to recent thefts from Carnegie Steel warehouses. What Detective Morrison discovered during his investigation defied everything law enforcement thought they knew about criminal organization in America. According to his case files, discovered in 1978 during the renovation of the old Pittsburgh police headquarters, the Torrino family had established a criminal network spanning from Boston to Chicago, with operations that included murder, extortion, theft, and what Morrison described as ritualistic practices that chill the blood. Morrison's initial investigation revealed that the Torrino family operated with a level of sophistication that exceeded anything previously documented in American criminal history. According to his report to Police Chief William Hayes, dated March 8, 1890, the Torrino organization demonstrates tactical coordination that rivals military operations. Their ability to execute simultaneous activities across multiple states, maintain absolute secrecy among participants, and eliminate witnesses with surgical precision suggests training and organization that extends far beyond conventional criminal enterprise. Even more disturbing was Morrison's discovery of the family's operational methods. In his confidential report to Police Chief William Hayes, dated March 12, 1890, Morrison wrote, "The Torrino organization operates unlike any criminal element we have encountered. They appear to select victims not merely for profit or revenge, but according to some systematic criteria that suggests a deeper, more organized purpose. Most alarming is their apparent ability to coordinate activities across vast distances without detectable communication." The breakthrough in Morrison's investigation came when he obtained a copy of the Whitmore photograph from the photographer's studio. According to his notes, upon examining the family portrait with a magnifying glass, I observed details that had escaped initial notice. Several family members wear identical medallions, barely visible beneath their clothing. More troubling still, close examination reveals what appears to be dried blood beneath the fingernails of at least 3 adults in the photograph. But Morrison's analysis revealed far more disturbing details. Using photographic enhancement techniques pioneered by Alphonse Bertillon in Paris, Morrison discovered that the Torrino family members bore matching scars on their hands and faces, scars that appeared to follow specific patterns. According to his notes, the scarring observed in the photograph suggests ritualistic practices involving systematic cutting or branding. Most disturbing is the presence of identical markings on all family members, including the children, suggesting that these practices extend to the systematic abuse of their own offspring. This was just the beginning of what would become the most disturbing criminal investigation in 19th century America. Morrison's deeper examination of the photograph revealed additional unsettling details. The positioning of the family members followed an unusual pattern. The adults formed what appeared to be ritualistic groupings, with the eldest son, Antonio, positioned directly behind his father in what Morrison's notes describe as a succession arrangement. The 4 children, all between ages 8 and 14, wore matching silver pendants that, when photographed under magnification, bore symbols that Morrison couldn't identify. The pendants themselves became a crucial element in Morrison's investigation. According to his correspondence with Professor Heinrich Zimmermann of the University of Pittsburgh's Department of Classical Languages, the symbols bore resemblance to ancient Roman ritual markings associated with death cults that had operated in southern Italy during the early centuries of the Christian era. Professor Zimmermann wrote to Morrison in April 1890, "The symbols you have shown me are consistent with practices documented in the mountains of Calabria, where pre-Christian death rituals persisted well into the medieval period. Most disturbing is the precision with which these symbols have been reproduced, suggesting not casual imitation, but systematic preservation of ancient practices." But what Morrison found most disturbing was the background of the photograph itself. Behind the family, barely visible in the shadow of the steel works, stood additional figures, at least 3 men who appeared to be watching the proceedings. According to witness testimony from steelworkers interviewed by Morrison, these men had been present throughout the photography session, but had remained deliberately obscured from the main composition. The investigation took an even more troubling turn when Morrison discovered that the Torrino family's criminal activities extended far beyond conventional organized crime. In April 1890, he uncovered evidence linking the family to a series of disappearances spanning nearly 2 decades, beginning shortly after their arrival from Italy. Morrison's investigation revealed a pattern of disappearances that coincided precisely with the Torrino family's movements throughout Pennsylvania. According to his analysis of missing person reports, filed with municipal police departments between 1871 and 1889, at least 47 individuals had vanished without trace in communities where the Torrino family had resided. Most disturbing was the systematic nature of these disappearances. Victims were always selected from specific demographic groups: dock workers, railroad employees, steel workers, and municipal officials who had access to industrial infrastructure. According to records discovered in the archives of St. Mary's Catholic Church in Pittsburgh's Strip District, Father Giuseppe Marconi had documented numerous concerns about the Torrino family in his private correspondence. In a letter dated December 3, 1889, to Bishop Thomas Lynch, Father Marconi wrote, The Torrino family continues to request private blessings for what they claim are family heirlooms. These objects, which they bring wrapped in cloth, emanate an odour that I can only describe as corruption. When I inquired about their origin, young Antonio smiled in a manner that left me profoundly disturbed. Morrison's investigation revealed that the family heirlooms, referenced by Father Marconi, were actually trophies taken from the family's victims. Personal items that the Torrinos preserved as part of what appeared to be ritualistic practices passed down through generations. According to witness testimony from church custodian Patrick O'Malley, the Torrino family visited St. Mary's monthly, always carrying wrapped bundles that they claimed required blessing. The smell that came from those bundles, O'Malley told Morrison, was like nothing I'd ever encountered. Sweet and rotten at the same time, like flowers left too long in a tomb. The most chilling discovery came in Morrison's analysis of the family's immigration records. According to documents obtained from Ellis Island, the Torrino family had not emigrated from Calabria as they claimed, but from a small mountain village called Grimaldi that, according to Italian authorities, had been abandoned for nearly 50 years before their supposed departure. When Morrison contacted Italian police through diplomatic channels, he received a response that left him questioning everything he thought he understood about the case. According to a telegram from Captain Roberto Santori of the Carabinieri, dated May 15, 1890, village of Grimaldi destroyed by fire, 1820, no survivors recorded. Suggest investigation focus elsewhere. Strongly advise against further inquiries regarding Grimaldi. But Morrison's investigation had already uncovered evidence that suggested the Torrino family's crimes followed patterns that extended back decades before their arrival in America. Church records from Boston, New York, and Philadelphia documented suspicious deaths and disappearances in Italian immigrant communities, deaths that followed the family's movements with disturbing precision. Morrison's correspondence with Detective Sergeant Patrick Flanagan of the Boston Police Department revealed that similar patterns of ritualistic murder had been documented in Massachusetts Italian communities between 1871 and 1875. Precisely the period when immigration records showed the Torrino family's presence in Boston. According to Flanagan's report, dated June 2, 1890, the Boston murders showed identical characteristics to those you describe in Pittsburgh: precise surgical cuts, removal of specific organs, and positioning of bodies that suggests ritualistic purpose. Most disturbing was the complete absence of conventional robbery, suggesting that murder itself was the primary objective. According to medical examiner reports compiled by Dr. Samuel Hendricks of the Pittsburgh City Morgue, the victims attributed to the Torrino organization died in ways that suggested not merely violence, but systematic torture designed to extract information. The precision of the wounds, Dr. Hendricks wrote in his confidential report to the district attorney's office, suggests medical knowledge far beyond what one would expect from common criminals. More disturbing still, several victims show evidence of having been kept alive for extended periods while subjected to procedures that I can only describe as experimental. Dr. Hendricks's analysis revealed that the Torrino family possessed anatomical knowledge that exceeded that of trained physicians. According to his private notes, discovered during the 1923 demolition of his laboratory, I have examined the handiwork of this family for 6 months now, and I'm forced to conclude that their methods suggest not only sophisticated understanding of human physiology, but access to techniques that are not taught in any medical school I know of. The precision with which they remove specific organs, the systematic nature of their torture methods, and their apparent ability to keep victims conscious during extended procedures suggest knowledge that extends far beyond conventional medical training. Even more alarming was Dr. Hendricks' discovery that the Torrino family appeared to be conducting systematic experiments on their victims. According to his analysis, the pattern of injuries suggests not random violence, but systematic investigation of human physiological responses to specific stimuli. Most disturbing is the evidence that they documented their procedures with the same precision used by legitimate medical researchers. The investigation reached its most disturbing phase in June 1890, when Morrison obtained a search warrant for the Torrino family home on Pittsburgh's north side. What he discovered there would haunt him for the remainder of his career and challenge everything law enforcement thought possible about organized crime in America. Morrison's detailed inventory of the Torrino residence revealed modifications that suggested the house had been systematically converted into a facility designed for activities that no civilized mind could conceive. The basement had been excavated to nearly twice the depth of neighboring homes, with reinforced walls and specialized ventilation that suggested planning and engineering capabilities far beyond what immigrants would typically possess. According to Morrison's notes, the basement contains equipment that appears designed for medical procedures, but modified for purposes that legitimate medicine would never contemplate. Most disturbing are the restraint mechanisms built into the walls, systems that suggest extended confinement and systematic torture of victims over periods of weeks or months. But there was something more disturbing about the basement that Morrison initially struggled to document. The chambers contained detailed anatomical charts covering every wall, charts that showed not standard medical illustrations, but systematic documentation of human physiological responses to torture, dismemberment, and slow death. According to his notes, the precision of these illustrations suggests not casual cruelty, but systematic study conducted over years or decades. Most alarming is the evidence that multiple individuals contributed to these studies, suggesting that the Torrino family's activities represent not isolated criminality, but systematic research conducted by multiple generations. According to Morrison's detailed case files, the Torrino residence at 1247 Arch Street appeared from the outside to be a typical immigrant family home. A modest two-story structure, indistinguishable from dozens of others in the predominantly Italian neighborhood. But what Morrison found inside defied everything law enforcement thought possible about organized crime in America. The house had been modified extensively from its original construction. The basement had been excavated to nearly twice the depth of neighboring homes, creating a series of interconnected chambers that Morrison described as purpose-built for activities that no civilized mind could conceive. The walls were lined with shelving that contained hundreds of glass jars filled with what Dr. Hendricks later identified as human organs preserved in solutions of unknown composition. Morrison's inventory revealed that the Torrino family had been collecting anatomical specimens for nearly 2 decades. According to his notes, the specimens are organized according to some systematic classification that suggests not random collection, but research conducted according to specific criteria. Most disturbing is the presence of specimens that appear to have been harvested from living subjects, organs that show no signs of post-mortem decay, but bear evidence of having been removed while the victim remained conscious. But there was something more disturbing about the basement that Morrison initially struggled to document. According to his notes, the chambers appear designed not merely for storage, but for activities requiring precise temperature control and specialized equipment. Most alarming is the presence of surgical instruments that, while appearing antique, demonstrate modifications that suggest purposes unknown to medical science. Morrison's investigation revealed that the Torrino family had been operating what can only be described as a medical laboratory dedicated to studying human physiology under extreme conditions. According to witness testimony from neighbors, the basement was frequented by visitors who arrived only at night and remained for hours at a time. Mrs. Catherine O'Brien, who lived adjacent to the Torrino property, told Morrison, "Strange sounds came from that basement at all hours, not screaming, which would have been horrible enough, but sounds like machinery, mechanical sounds mixed with voices speaking in a language I'd never heard." The most disturbing discovery came when Morrison examined the family's personal belongings, found carefully organized in the home's upper floors. According to his inventory, the Torrinos possessed detailed records of their activities dating back to 1871, records that documented not merely crimes, but systematic experiments conducted on victims over nearly 2 decades. These records, written in a combination of Italian, Latin, and symbols that linguistic experts at the University of Pittsburgh could not decipher, detailed procedures that Morrison described as medical experimentation designed not to heal, but to explore the limits of human endurance and the mechanisms of death itself. Morrison's analysis of the Torrino family's records revealed systematic documentation that exceeded the precision of legitimate medical research. According to his notes, the family maintained detailed records of each victim, including demographic information, physical characteristics, and responses to specific procedures. Most disturbing is the evidence that they conducted systematic comparisons between subjects, suggesting research designed to identify physiological variations between different populations. Even more chilling was Morrison's discovery that the Torrino family's activities were not random acts of violence, but part of what appeared to be a multi-generational research project. According to documents found in Giovanni Torrino's personal study, the family maintained correspondence with similar organizations in Boston, New York, Philadelphia, and Chicago, suggesting that what Pittsburgh had witnessed was part of a coordinated national network of criminal families engaged in identical activities. The correspondence revealed that the Torrino family was part of what appeared to be a systematic program of scientific research conducted by multiple criminal organizations throughout America's industrial cities. According to letters discovered in Giovanni Torrino's desk, dated between 1885 and 1889, the family received detailed instructions regarding victim selection, experimental procedures, and documentation requirements from what appeared to be a central coordinating authority. But what Morrison found most disturbing was evidence that the Torrino family's work was not merely criminal, but served a purpose that extended beyond conventional understanding of organized crime. In Giovanni Torrino's private papers, Morrison discovered references to the completion of the work begun in the Old Country and preparations for the final phase of the American experiment. Morrison's analysis of these documents suggested that the Torrino family viewed their criminal activities as contributions to a larger research program designed to understand American industrial society. According to his notes, the evidence suggests that the family's victims were selected not randomly, but according to criteria designed to provide systematic information about the American industrial workforce. Most disturbing is their apparent focus on individuals with access to transportation networks, industrial facilities, and municipal infrastructure. The investigation took an even more troubling turn when Morrison attempted to trace the Torrino family's activities beyond Pittsburgh. According to correspondence with police departments in other cities, similar patterns of disappearances, ritual murders, and organized criminal activity had been documented wherever Italian immigrant communities had established themselves. But in each case, the investigations had been mysteriously terminated or the evidence had disappeared. Detective Captain Michael Sullivan of the Boston Police Department wrote to Morrison in July 1890, "Your inquiries regarding the Torrino family have been forwarded to federal authorities. I am instructed to inform you that further investigation of this matter falls outside municipal jurisdiction. Suggest you focus your efforts elsewhere." Similar responses came from New York, Philadelphia, and Chicago, responses that suggested coordination at levels of government that Morrison found deeply troubling. According to his private notes, it appears that whatever the Torrino family represents, knowledge of their activities extends to authorities who possess the power to terminate investigations and suppress evidence. Morrison's investigation revealed that federal intervention in local investigations of Italian criminal organizations followed identical patterns across multiple cities. According to his correspondence with fellow detectives, investigations that uncovered evidence of systematic organization, ritualistic practices, or connections to similar groups in other cities were invariably terminated by federal authorities who claimed jurisdiction but provided no further information about ongoing investigations. The most alarming development came in August 1890, when Morrison discovered that the Torrino family had vanished from Pittsburgh without a trace. The house on Arch Street stood empty, but showed no signs of hasty departure. According to neighbors, the family had simply failed to appear one morning, as if they had never existed at all. Morrison's subsequent investigation revealed that the family's disappearance had been planned with the same precision that characterized all their activities. According to bank records, Giovanni Torrino had gradually liquidated substantial assets over the preceding months, assets far exceeding what a steelworker could have legitimately accumulated. The photograph taken by Marcus Whitmore remained the only concrete evidence that the family had ever existed. Morrison's analysis of the family's financial records revealed connections to banking institutions throughout the industrial Northeast. According to his notes, the Torrino family maintained accounts in 17 cities, with assets totaling more than $200,000, a sum that represents decades of systematic criminal activity conducted on a scale that exceeds anything previously documented in American law enforcement. But even the photograph itself presented disturbing questions. When Morrison attempted to interview Whitmore about the session, he discovered that the photographer had died under mysterious circumstances just days after the family's disappearance. According to the coroner's report, Whitmore had suffered what appeared to be a heart attack, but Dr. Seuss Hendricks noted in his private examination that the body showed signs of having been subjected to the same precise surgical procedures that characterized the Torrino family's other victims. Morrison's investigation of Whitmore's death revealed that the photographer had been systematically tortured before his murder. According to Dr. Hendricks's confidential analysis, the precision of the wounds suggests extended interrogation designed to extract information about the photography session. Most disturbing is evidence that Mr. Whitmore was kept conscious throughout procedures that would normally result in immediate death. The investigation officially ended in September 1890, when Morrison received direct orders from Police Chief Hayes to close the case and transfer all evidence to federal authorities. According to Morrison's final report, the Torrino investigation has revealed criminal activities of a scope and sophistication that exceed municipal law enforcement capabilities. All evidence has been transferred to appropriate federal agencies for continued investigation. However, Morrison's private papers, discovered in 1978, reveal that he continued investigating the case unofficially for the remainder of his career. According to his notes, the Torrino family's disappearance from Pittsburgh coincided with the establishment of similar criminal organizations in Detroit, Cleveland, and Milwaukee, cities experiencing rapid Italian immigration during the 1890s. Morrison's continued investigation revealed that the Torrino family's activities represented not isolated criminality, but the systematic implementation of a program designed to establish criminal infrastructure throughout America's industrial centers. According to his analysis, the precision of their operations, the coordination of their activities with similar groups, and their systematic documentation of American industrial capabilities suggests not random criminal enterprise, but intelligence gathering conducted for foreign interests. Most disturbing was Morrison's discovery that the Torrino family's activities appeared to be part of a systematic program designed to establish criminal networks throughout America's industrial cities. According to his analysis, the precision of their operations, the sophistication of their methods, and the coordination of their activities with similar groups suggests not random criminality, but implementation of a systematic plan developed over generations. Morrison's investigation revealed that the 1889 photograph contained additional details that had escaped initial notice. Advanced photographic analysis, conducted privately by Morrison using techniques developed for police work, revealed that several family members bore scars consistent with the surgical procedures documented in their laboratory. More troubling still, the children in the photograph showed signs of having been subjected to the same procedures, suggesting that the family's activities extended to systematic abuse of their own offspring. Morrison's analysis of the photograph revealed that the Torrino family's scarring followed patterns consistent with ritualistic practices documented in ancient Roman death cults. According to his correspondence with Professor Zimmerman, the systematic nature of the scarring suggests not random self-mutilation, but ritualistic practices conducted according to specific procedures passed down through generations. The final entry in Morrison's private case files, dated December 31st, 1899, provides the most chilling assessment of the Torrino investigation. 10 years have passed since the family vanished from Pittsburgh, and I have documented similar criminal organizations in 17 American cities. The pattern is consistent. Italian immigrant families possessing sophisticated knowledge of human anatomy, access to resources far exceeding their apparent means, and connections to networks that extend beyond conventional criminal activity. Most alarming is the evidence that these organizations continue to operate with apparent immunity from federal investigation. Morrison's notes document his growing conviction that the Torrino family represented not an isolated criminal organization, but the advance elements of a systematic colonization effort designed to establish permanent criminal infrastructure throughout America's industrial centers. According to his analysis, the evidence suggests coordination at levels that extend beyond conventional criminal conspiracy. These families appear to be implementing a plan developed in Europe and designed for systematic exploitation of American industrial development. Morrison's investigation revealed that similar criminal organizations had been established in every major American industrial city by 1900, each following identical patterns of operation and each maintaining connections to the others through systematic correspondence and coordination. According to his notes, the systematic nature of their establishment, the precision of their methods, and their apparent immunity from federal investigation suggests coordination at levels that extend far beyond conventional criminal conspiracy. But perhaps most disturbing was Morrison's discovery that the Torrino family's activities were not limited to criminal enterprise, but included systematic intelligence gathering about American industrial capacity, transportation networks, and governmental structures. According to documents found in the family's residence, they had compiled detailed information about steel production, railroad networks, and municipal government operations, information that far exceeded what would be necessary for criminal activity. Morrison's analysis of the intelligence gathered by the Torrino family revealed systematic documentation of American industrial capabilities that suggested coordination with foreign interests. According to his notes, the precision and scope of their intelligence gathering suggests not criminal interest, but systematic assessment of American industrial capacity conducted for purposes that extend beyond conventional criminal enterprise. Morrison's final assessment, found in his private papers after his death in 1912, provided a warning that proved prophetic. The Torrino family and organizations like them represent a threat to American society that extends far beyond conventional criminal activity. Their systematic approach, sophisticated methods, and apparent immunity from investigation suggest coordination with foreign interests dedicated to the systematic penetration and exploitation of American industrial development. What we witnessed in Pittsburgh was not crime as we understand it, but the implementation of a systematic program designed to establish permanent foreign criminal infrastructure on American soil. The 1889 photograph remained in Morrison's personal files until his death, when it was transferred to the Pittsburgh Police Department archives. According to archival records, the photograph was examined periodically by investigators working on cases involving organized crime, but its full significance was not understood until the emergence of modern organized crime families in the 1920s and 1930s. Federal investigators examining the photograph in 1934 noted striking similarities between the Torrino family's organizational structure and the criminal families that dominated American organized crime during Prohibition. According to FBI analysis conducted under Director J. Edgar Hoover, the 1889 Torrino photograph documents organizational patterns that became standard among American organized crime families 40 years later, suggesting that modern criminal organizations may have developed from systematic programs initiated during the 19th century. FBI analysis revealed that the Torrino family's operational methods had become standard practice among organized crime families operating during the 1920s and 1930s. According to confidential FBI assessment, the systematic nature of the Torrino family's criminal activities, their coordination with similar organizations, and their sophisticated intelligence gathering capabilities established patterns that modern organized crime families continue to follow. But even more disturbing was the FBI's discovery that several individuals in the 1889 photograph bore striking resemblances to known organized crime figures active during the 1920s and 1930s. resemblances that suggested either remarkable coincidence or family connections spanning multiple generations. According to confidential FBI analysis, the possibility that modern organized crime represents the culmination of systematic programs initiated in the 19th century requires investigation at the highest levels of federal law enforcement. FBI investigation revealed that organized crime families active during Prohibition maintained systematic records of their activities that bore striking similarity to the documentation methods pioneered by the Torrino family. According to confidential analysis, the precision of their record-keeping, the systematic nature of their victim selection, and their coordination with similar organizations suggest continuity with 19th century criminal families that extends beyond coincidental similarity. Today, the 1889 Torrino family photograph remains in the FBI's organized crime archives, classified at levels that prevent public access. According to sources within federal law enforcement, the photograph continues to provide investigators with insights into the historical development of organized crime in America. Insights that suggest the systematic nature of criminal organization extends back far longer than previously understood. Current FBI analysis suggests that the Torrino case represents evidence that organized crime in America developed according to systematic patterns established during the 19th century by families with connections to European criminal organizations. According to confidential assessment, the sophistication of 19th century criminal families, their systematic approach to establishing criminal infrastructure, and their apparent coordination with foreign interests suggests that modern organized crime represents the culmination of programs initiated during the earliest periods of American industrial development. The mystery of the Torrino family remains unsolved. Despite nearly 135 years of investigation, federal authorities have never determined the family's ultimate fate or the full extent of their criminal network. What began as a routine family portrait in 1889, Pittsburgh revealed America's first documented organized crime family and raised questions about the systematic nature of criminal organization that continue to disturb investigators to this day. According to current FBI analysis, the Torrino case represents not an isolated historical curiosity, but evidence that organized crime in America developed according to systematic patterns established during the 19th century. The precision of their methods, the sophistication of their organization, and their apparent connections to similar groups throughout America suggest coordination that extends far beyond conventional criminal conspiracy. Current federal investigation continues to uncover evidence that suggests the Torrino family's activities were part of a systematic program designed to establish criminal infrastructure throughout American industrial centers. According to sources within federal law enforcement, the evidence suggests that what we observed in Pittsburgh was not an isolated criminal family, but part of a coordinated program designed to establish permanent criminal infrastructure throughout America's industrial cities. Most disturbing is the possibility that the Torrino family's work was never completed, that their disappearance from Pittsburgh represented not the end of their activities, but their evolution into forms that continue to influence American organized crime today. The photograph taken by Marcus Whitmore on November 15, 1889, remains the only concrete evidence of America's first criminal family and a warning that the true scope of organized crime in America may extend back far longer and run far deeper than anyone has yet dared to investigate. The mystery continues to this day, hidden in archives that few are permitted to access, documented in files that raise more questions than they answer, and preserved in a single photograph that captured something far more terrifying than a simple family portrait. What you're seeing in that image challenges everything we think we know about the development of organized crime in America, and suggests that the true story of criminal organization in this country remains largely untold. According to federal sources, investigation of the Torrino case continues at the highest levels of law enforcement, with implications that extend to current organized crime investigations throughout the United States. The photograph taken in 1889 Pittsburgh continues to provide insights into criminal organization that disturb investigators more than a century after it was captured. and suggests that the true scope of systematic criminal organization in America may be far greater than anyone has yet dared to acknowledge.